Good evening and welcome to NTD News. I'm Paul Graney. Here are today's top stories. Democrats are digging deep into their charge of abuse of power against President Trump. This as the Senate Republicans say they're still waiting to hear overwhelming evidence. Union membership hits record low, this in contrast to the millions of new jobs added in 2019. Audiences in London share their thoughts after watching a big hit performance during its European tour. Find out what they had to say after watching Shen Yun. And people flock to San Francisco's Winter Fancy Food Show to try the latest in specialty foods. Healthy and unique treats like edible candles take center stage. Day 2 of the Senate Democrats' opening arguments are underway in Washington. While House managers present their case for impeaching President Trump, the president's legal team and Senate Republicans remain unconvinced.
Before Democrats made their case against Trump for the second day of opening arguments, head impeachment manager Adam Schiff laid out the prosecution's agenda. He said the plan for Thursday's session was to lay out evidence they say supports their first article of impeachment, abuse of power.
The articles and the evidence conclusively establish that President Trump has placed his own personal political interests first.
But Republicans say the prosecution's case hasn't swayed them.
It didn't seem yesterday was like Groundhog's Day because we heard what we had heard the day before, and I'm expecting more of the same today.
Lawmakers are still debating, on and off the Senate floor, whether or not witness testimony should be allowed in the trial. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst said halfway through the day that Republicans are still waiting to be presented with overwhelming evidence, and that if they see it, it will either convince them that more information is needed or it won't. On the other hand, Senator Lindsey Graham told reporters that Hunter Biden's involvement in Ukraine ought to warrant more scrutiny. Despite the debate, one idea is gaining bipartisan traction. After 3 long days inside the chamber, lawmakers say there is an effort in the works to hold a short, morning-only trial session on Saturday. The plan isn't finalized and would need unanimous consent from all senators.
And a government expert says senators could still ask to hear from more witnesses after House Democrats present their case. But he says it's still unlikely the president will be removed from office. NTD's Kevin Hogan has the details.
Majority Leader is recognized.
The Vice President of the Institute for Constitutional Government, John Malcolm, commented on the impeachment trial in the Senate. He says the House of Representatives had their chance to gather the evidence they need, but now that the trial has started, it should not be a continuation of the investigation.
They said, we have an overwhelming case against the president. And then they appear to be saying, but we need more documents and we need more evidence. And we should be allowed to conduct additional discovery to continue the investigation.
Malcolm says if all Democratic senators vote to convict the president, they would still need 20 Republicans to cross over and vote to convict him.
I have a very, very hard time imagining that they could possibly get anywhere near 20 Republicans to vote to remove the president from office.
In his opinion, there are very few people whose minds have changed because of the impeachment.
People are going to decide whether they like what the president is doing, the good economy, the new trade deal with Mexico and Canada, criminal justice reform measures, other things.
Accept a Congress that is willing to let it be so.
He says we will see Democrat House managers saying this is all about corruption, but the White House will counter them.
You're going to get the president's lawyers saying this is a rigged process and that this is really all about how the Democrats have hated this president from the moment he won the election.
Malcolm mentioned the Democrats have talked about removing Trump from office since the moment he got in. Reporting by Kevin Hogan and Kitty Wong, NTD News.
It's a whole hoax. It's called the impeachment hoax.
A medical doctor specializing in infectious diseases says he fears the scale of the new coronavirus in China could be 10 times larger than the SARS epidemic in 2003. Some Chinese residents share his worries as deaths and infections continue to increase.
Guan Yi, a leading Hong Kong expert who has helped fight multiple virus epidemics, warns that the coronavirus outbreak in China could be 10 times larger than SARS. The deadly SARS outbreak in 2002 and 2003 infected more than 8,000 people and killed nearly 800. In an interview with Chinese media's Haixin, he said, quote, "I've been through so many major outbreaks. I've never felt so scared." China has locked down Wuhan City, where the virus originates. He said it's not likely to be effective, since China has already missed the best time to control the spread. Some Chinese residents share his worries. In the now locked down city of Wuhan, a local physician told NTD that CT scans shows 5 out of 50 staff in his clinic have infected lungs, and he is one of them.
My lungs are infected. I have chest pain. I don't want to go to the hospital because if you go now, you'll probably be waiting in line till night. There are too many people. The hospitals are too crowded.
He said the rapid increase of fever patients in his clinic started as early as last November. That's nearly 2 months before China's official reported the outbreak.
It's actually been very long. We have been working under very bad preventative measures for almost 2 months now. I guess it will only get more and more serious.
Lockdown measures are now increasing in cities near Wuhan. After the lockdown was announced, residents rushed to supermarkets to store food and other necessities, leaving many stores out of stock.
It's hard to get basic necessities for living now. It's very scary. Everybody wears masks. We don't dare to go to public spaces anymore.
Penny Zhou, NTD News.
The coronavirus may not be a global emergency, but today the U.S. State Department is telling travelers to exercise increased caution if traveling to China. If for any reasons travelers make it to Wuhan, they're advised to avoid animals and sick people and to wash their hands often. Authorities in Wuhan have shut down the city in an effort to contain the virus. This means transportation in and out of the city has been suspended. People who've traveled to Wuhan and feel sick should immediately seek medical attention. And dozens of world leaders gathered in Jerusalem today for the International Holocaust Forum. Vice President Mike Pence spoke of a tide of anti-Semitic violence that's sweeping through the world.
Vice President Mike Pence arrived in Israel on Thursday to attend the World Holocaust Forum. It's the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp. World leaders gathered at the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial Center in Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned of the dangers to Israel from Iran. He said the Iranian regime openly seeks to develop nuclear weapons and annihilate the one and only Jewish state. Netanyahu also thanked President Trump and Vice President Pence for confronting the tyrants of Tehran. Pence said that a united front is needed to combat anti-Semitism.
We must be prepared to confront and expose the vile tide of anti-Semitism that is fueling hate and violence all across the world, and we must stand together.
He said the Iranian government denies the Holocaust as a matter of state policy and threatens to wipe Israel off the map.
The world must stand strong against the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Overall, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. Anti-Semitic attacks are thought to be rising in the U.S. and Europe.
Pence also invited Netanyahu and his chief political rival Benny Gantz to the White House to discuss the U.S.'s plan for peace in the Middle East. And in other news, Britain has passed a bill to allow Brexit to go ahead at the end of the month. The process has also gone according to plan since then.
Britain moved a step closer to its January 31st exit from the European Union when the legislation required to ratify its deal with Brussels passed its final stage in Parliament on Wednesday. The bill will officially become law when it receives royal assent from Queen Elizabeth, something that could happen as soon as Thursday. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said in a statement that Parliament has passed the withdrawal agreement bill, meaning we will leave the EU on January 31st and move forward as one united kingdom. A consent vote in the EU Parliament will take place on January 29th. An EU spokesperson said the EU would take important steps to finalize the withdrawal on Friday, when the presidents of the European Commission and European Council signed the agreement. The European Parliament then has to vote the withdrawal agreement into law before January 31st for the deal to be finalized on the EU side.
And Queen Elizabeth II today officially approved Brexit and it was passed into law. The UK is now set to leave the European Union next week after almost 4 years of bitter debate. And in other news, a journalism legend has passed away. Debate moderator and longtime PBS news anchor Jim Lehrer has died. PBS said in a statement that Lehrer died peacefully in his sleep at home, but no cause of death was provided. Lehrer founded the NewsHour television program in 1975 with Robert McNeil. This after they extensively covered the Senate Watergate hearings. He co-hosted it for more than 36 years before retiring in 2011. Lehrer also moderated 12 presidential debates. PBS says that's more than any other person in U.S. history. He was 85 years old. And still to come, union membership hits a record low. Find out what factors are keeping people out of labor unions when we return.
When you look at TV networks in America, a soundbite and fight-it-out culture prevails on news and commentary programs. As a Canadian, I'm fascinated with America, and I wanted to offer American thought leaders an opportunity to share their thoughts in a deep dive format where we can explore their ideas together. And so American Thought Leaders was born. The world's most brilliant thinkers believed that open discourse was the key to greatness. However, all around the world, we see that discourse is being stifled and political agendas have subverted media. The Epoch Times launched its Global Thought Leaders program to bring back this great tradition of free thought. As the host of American Thought Leaders, every week I interview some of the most intriguing minds on the most pressing issues of our time. Be sure to check out our new episodes every week.
Viewers have described China Uncensored like The Daily Show, but about China.
At the beginning, I was super excited when I got 500 views, and now the show's grown to about 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. One episode reached 7.9 million people. I'm a little freaked out that that many people have seen my face. In 5 years, I see China Uncensored as the sole source of edutainment worldwide.
Union membership has hit a record low in the U.S., and it's a trend that appears to be continuing despite millions of new jobs.
Union membership hit a record low in 2019, in the same year that a great economy in the U.S. brought 2.1 million new jobs. The reason is twofold. The power of organized labor is in decline, while the job market has grown mostly outside of fields that are traditionally unionized. The exception is among state government jobs, where union membership rose slightly. A Supreme Court case in 2018, no longer requiring public sector employees to pay union dues, also reduced union prominence. Unions for public sector jobs can no longer force people to join and thereby fund the union's various causes and activities. Although the private sector was not affected by the ruling, its union membership also hit a record low at 6.2%. The Labor Department said on Wednesday that the percentage of the total workforce in labor unions fell to 10.3% in 2019, a further decline from 2018 levels and the lowest on record since record-keeping started in 1983.
Lawmakers are calling for a nationwide ban on student isolation. This after Illinois announced it would end the practice. Concern is rising that this isolated timeout is being overused as a form of discipline. NTD's Melina Wisecup brings us the details.
12 lawmakers are calling on the Department of Education for a nationwide ban on student seclusion, a practice meant for emergencies when students pose a safety risk to others. Seclusion is used in various states across the nation, but there is little information about how often it is used. A November report by ProPublica Illinois revealed that sometimes the rooms were used for relatively small reasons, students refusing to do classwork or throwing toys.
Recently, attention is being drawn to this approach, and a psychologist shares his perspective on how we can address the situation from a different angle.
But if you look at this in a more psychological and therapeutic manner, as we should, because we're talking about children, we're talking about minors, these are kids perhaps who are acting out because they cannot identify what the anxiety or the anger or the sadness or the angst that they're experiencing, and therefore they act it out physically. This is really a plea for help, and I believe as teachers, as counselors, we should look at helping that student to do better in the classroom instead of just shunning them.
Following the publication of the November report, the Illinois State Board of Education responded to ban seclusion in schools across the state, Congress members and 2 senators responded, petitioning the Department of Education in a letter stating, "We were relieved. However, that makes Illinois only the 5th state to ban seclusion. There are tens of millions of American children still at risk of experiencing this detrimental practice. With Illinois pushing for national attention, we will see if more states ban the practice in the future." Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
And still to come, audiences in London share their impressions of a performance that's been a big hit on its European tour. We talked to them after they saw Shen Yun and hear from them after the break.
We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. They're not out to tell you the truth of what's happening. They're out to tell you the picture of the world that they represent. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in facts, and prevent people from being misled. The Epoch Times is independent. We're not controlled by any special interests, and we never will be. The Epoch Times is a non-partisan media. That means we don't stand for any political party. This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would ensnare this country in ignorance, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. Subscribe today and join the Americans who are seeking truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
Are you tired of newspapers spinning the truth and pushing false narratives? And are you looking for honest coverage of Spygate, the true story of collusion? Or the truth behind the crisis at our southern border? Or how the Chinese Communist Party is working to subvert America and our way of life? Then you need to check out the Epoch Times newspaper. It's independent, nonpartisan, and it doesn't push any political agendas. Just go to readepoch.com and try it yourself for a full month for just $1. You'll absolutely love it.
Classical Chinese dance show Shen Yun is reviving authentic Chinese culture, and it's selling out in Europe. We asked audience members in London what made it unique for them.
Each season, the Shen Yun artists produce an all-new show and perform across the world. And they've taken a stop here at London's Eventum Apollo to perform 11 shows. Let's take a look at what the audience in London have got to say about it.
The performance was out of this world. It was mesmerising. I've never seen such colour, such beauty and perfection.
How gorgeous all the dancers are. They're so dainty and they move so fluid. They move like water along the stage, and it's so lovely to watch. You just don't see that.
It was amazing. It was totally fluid and calming, as well as you saw an inner grace, which is unlike anything else I've seen.
Shen Yun draws inspiration from a 5 millennia-old culture which was once known as the Land of the Divine.
It's very inspiring, and I have to say it's very spiritual. Everything was magical. It brought feelings out of me that I haven't been in touch with for a long time.
For thousands of years, classical Chinese dance was used to express traditional values. However, after the Chinese Communist Party took power, it systematically tried to destroy these traditions and values.
I think it's really impressive, the commitment they've made to both their art and to their dancing, but also to the values that underpin that. That's clearly under threat in their home country, and it's nice that they are making a stand by standing up for what's right and clearly for freedom of expression and their traditions.
Today, Shen Yun uses story-based dance to bring back this culture and its spiritual values from the brink of extinction, leaving the audience with an unforgettable experience.
It kind of brings all that pureness. You know, you get so caught up in your busy lives, and it just kind of brings an air of grace.
I feel that I'm walking away with something, so that's probably a gift. I'm receiving a spiritual gift.
NTD News, London, UK.
And in Paris, Fashion Week is on with the 2020 Spring and Summer Haute Couture shows. Our correspondent David Vives takes us behind the scenes.
January 22nd marks the third day of the couture shows amid one of Paris's many fashion weeks. Inside the Hotel Intercontinental, it seems there's never a minute to lose backstage. This is where models prepare for the spotlight amidst rows of dresses. Ziad Nakad is the brain behind the collection. He's also the pair of hands that perfect the small details. For his spring and summer dresses, the fashion designer imagined an ocean of colors fit for a mermaid, princess style. A twist of the hair, a last touch of glitter, but there are always small challenges for models.
With the high heel shoes that are almost 8 inches high, we need to pay attention not to fall.
In the audience are fashion lovers, critics, and potential buyers.
Amazing designer, I love his dresses. He's already done many dresses for my friends.
Then the show begins. Glamorous and glittering gowns. The dresses are designed with aesthetic cuts coupled with an attention to detail. According to Nakad presentation, a dress needs to reveal a woman's silhouette and beauty. For his 2020 collection, the designer chose an aquatic ambience.
It's about Atlantis, about a woman. She lives inside the water, and she very strong and she good personality. And I love the color about the summer. I put a lot of colors, strong colors.
He started his work in 1997. His first dress was made for family members. Today, he's one of the fashion world's rising stars.
He's maturing. I think it's becoming stronger. I think you have to deliver something that is worthwhile people paying attention to. Can't just be the same old thing. But on the other hand, it can't be so extraordinary no one can wear it.
Then comes the grand finale with the wedding dress. Just the work on the crystals and ornaments took 3 months for the Nakad teams. The haute couture shows run through January 23rd. Reporting by David Vives, NTD News.
And still to come, San Franciscans flock to the city's Winter Fancy Food Show. They're here to try the latest the food specialty industry has to offer. We check out all the tasty treats after the break.
Factual,
honest news.
Not biased, but completely straightforward.
You're not emotionally going up and down.
Bringing morality back to newspapers.
The honest, old-fashioned journalism.
You're presenting the facts and letting the reader decide.
The Epoch Times is a fearlessly independent news media that publishes in 35 countries and 21 languages. Truth and tradition is our motto. Founded as an antidote to communist propaganda, today we're quickly becoming a household name across America. Our subscribers thank us for our relentless and unbiased coverage.
I've been part of the Epoch Times for nearly a decade because I've seen there's no other major media outlet in the world as devoted to real journalism. The Epoch Times has never had any corporate or political agenda. We only serve our readers, and we'll stay that way, no matter what.
We connected the dots around Spygate, the Obama administration's elaborate efforts against Trump's 2016 campaign. We often break news months ahead of other media on topics such as Chinese espionage, cyber warfare, subversion in America, and more. But our authoritative reporting didn't only just begin. We are tried and true.
Our paper was born out of the need to respond to a human rights catastrophe in China. It was enabled by the Communist Party's vicious and dishonest propaganda. We soon learned that Western media were picking up and amplifying the lies. The Epoch Times' truthful reporting exposed the Communist Party's lies for the Chinese people. But it also helped protect our Western audience. It disabused for them the lies in this propaganda. Our reporting has also helped uncover how communist ideas are taking root in our own country. The Epoch Times started as a small and unknown publication in one of the toughest media markets in the world. We have built it through hard work and trial and error.
We were founded in the year 2000 in Atlanta, Georgia, by Chinese Americans who had fled communist China. Our independent reporting came at a price. Our staff members in China were jailed and tortured for their reporting, some for as long as 10 years. Because our founders believed in truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, the principles of the spiritual practice Falun Gong, they felt such sacrifices were worth it to ensure for the world an independent, honest media, one that would report on the most pressing issues of our time. As many major media are losing people's trust and declining further every day, the fastest growing newspaper in America delivers truth and tradition. Look us up today.
Specialty foods galore. At the annual Winter Fancy Food Show in San Francisco, people took the opportunity to taste the latest the specialty food industry has to offer.
From candies to cheese to meat, foodies rejoice at the Winter Fancy Food Show presented by the Specialty Food Association. People sampled the latest products from over 80,000 exhibitors. Italian company Lehrer released 2 new flavors of wafers, double chocolate and matcha green tea, while biscuit maker Hello Panda will have a caramel flavor available starting in April. Soul Bee Honey rebranded its packaging and is selling powdered and flaky honey as natural sweeteners. Other companies introduced new twists for existing products. Bloom, a wholesale almond company, will soon launch its first retail product.
This is a do-it-yourself kit that has the almonds, the oil, and the seasoning in it. You add it, shake it, put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and you have a nice, hot, fresh toasted almond.
Let Them Eat Candles, run by a mother of 3 sons, came up with an edible chocolate candle that won't melt onto itself.
The wick is a short paraffin-coated cotton. You light it, and it lasts about 55 seconds. So you have long enough to sing and, blow it out, make your wish. And then there's just a little piece of wick left that you pluck out, and then you eat the chocolate that's left.
Woodland Foods, known for providing specialty ingredients, has some new dish starters.
Mole starters, curry starters, and sambal starters. They're a very unique, convenient, easy-to-use product. Just add water for an authentic curry, mole, or sambal.
A Macron company introduced a new birthday cake flavor, made with natural and organic ingredients.
We use only vegetable, fruit, and spice for the color of the shells. And we use only fresh ingredients to make the filling.
The Fancy Food Show will head to New York City at the end of June. NTD News, San Francisco, California.
And that's all for today's news. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Paul Graney.